Hello friends, it's me, and today, suspended? Let's check out Style Theory. School dress codes will ruin your life. From the Style Theorists together, let's go.
You don't have to tell me twice, or a couple thousand times. Let's talk about school dress codes. Hello internet, welcome to Style Theory, where you
Hello internet, welcome to Style Theory.
always get a gold star for perfect attendance. In between getting your master's in theoretical sciences across these channels, you might be attending, real school. In fact, based on the comments on our last episode where we covered school uniforms, a lot of you are currently in school or have yourself some very vivid memories about your time there, specifically about what you wore. In that episode, we discussed the impact, or lack thereof, of uniforms on school performance. But of course, researching for that one topic actually opened up a whole can of worms about a related topic: dress codes on school campuses. If your school didn't have a uniform, then I'd bet my bottom dollar that you, like me and my pleated pants, had yourself a different set of rules for what you could and could not wear, aka the dress code. School dress codes are pretty infamous at this point.
We're talking about the school dress codes.
That controversial video is one of two videos students saw on the second day of school regarding the dress code.
A dress code, a dress standard is pretty normal.
A school district's dress code is creating even more controversy tonight for a middle school student.
You get the idea. And they're not just an American thing either. They're a universal feature of schools the world over. So with them being literally everywhere, I think it's finally time someone asked, should schools have dress codes? Are they
Yes, schools should have dress codes.
actually doing anything? Is there scientific evidence that having a dress code in schools improves people's grades, or improves their well-being, or improves really anything about the school experience? Or are
Yes, there is tons of it.
these sets of seemingly arbitrary rules doing more harm than good? The next time
That's the thing. If you do not fully understand why those rules are implemented in the first place, you will think that it's arbitrary. But if you actually fully recognize the benefits of it, and you also recognize the disadvantages of not having a standardized school dress code, well, you get the point, don't you?
get hauled into detention because your strap was a little too spaghetti and not an entire lasagna noodle, do you have a case to be made that the system is a scam? Well, my friends, there's only one way to find out, so ring the bell. Class is now in session. And
I dislike the way that MatPats you phrase this opening of the video, because it entices the viewers to have a negative look at school dress codes. It rock the foundation of having a proper school. I come from a public school, and public school have standardized school uniforms, and we recognize the benefits of school dress codes, standardized school dress codes.
advocates of dress codes tend to argue that the benefits can boil down into three main categories.
See, you are just summarizing it into three categories. I understand that it's for YouTube terms, but there's way more than 3, way more than 5, way more than 10, way more than 20 different benefits of it.
Designed to promote 1, the success of the students, 2, the safety of the students, and 3, individual expression for those students, allowing me to keep it spicy in high school by switching up my silk shirts and quintuple pleated dockers. But before we dive into any of these individual categories, it's important to establish where the codes came from in the first place. You see, in the US, they have themselves an unexpected origin. Believe it or not, but school dress codes started with students way back in the 1960s, and all because they were protesting the Vietnam War. Yeah, that's the one that your grandpa probably talks about, with the peak of anti-war protests happening in the late 1960s. If you're not an American history buff, or, you're not an American at all, here's the TLDR. From 1965 to 1973, the US was engaged in a highly controversial war in Vietnam, in which the US wound up drafting a whopping 2.2 million young men between the ages of 21 and 26. Many of these
And note that do recognize that this video, this video came out last year, but this war occurred more than 50 years ago, more than half a century ago.
These kids wound up overseas and ended up being part of the 58,000 troops who died as a part of this war. Again, almost all young men a couple years out of high school being forced to fight in a war that many didn't agree with. One major form of anti-war protest was fashion, mostly worn by school kids who were showcasing the fact that they disagreed with the war and the draft. We know a lot of these clothes today based on the historical stereotypes. This was hippie culture at its peak. Loose bohemian clothing, bright colors, bell bottoms. But the powder keg for conflict with US schools was a clothing item that's a little less well known from the period. At the time, students protested by wearing black armbands to school, which became a specific nationwide symbol for school kids who were protesting the war. After students began being suspended for wearing these black armbands, they took the issue to court, saying that this was an issue of free speech. Schools were breaking a fundamental First Amendment right. This case, Tinker versus Des Moines, went all the way to the Supreme Court, where they ruled that the students could in fact keep their armbands. But in making this decision, they also laid the groundwork for the first legal dress codes in the US. Specifically, their ruling stated, quote, "In our system, state-operated schools may not be enclaves of totalitarianism. In the absence of a specific showing of constitutionally valid reasons to regulate their speech, students are entitled to freedom of expression of their views." But even though the courts now said that children could wear any clothes that their teachers or schools might not agree with, the Supreme Court also drew the line in one very important place. The ruling stated that students may not materially disrupt the school process or the education of others with their clothing. Quote again, "The state has an obligation to try to move directly against those causing the disruption rather than take away the First Amendment right of expression. A material and substantial disruption to the schools would justify perhaps the subordination of freedom of expression." And oh boy, that last line has opened the door for some broad interpretations, leading to some wild dress code mandates. So then,
Especially when you know how to tinker the laws, tinker the policies to suit individuals'
what the heck does
self-interest.
materially disruptive mean? Well, let's just rip the band-aid off now. No one knows. It is super subjective, but let me tell you, almost every dress code we read while researching for this episode used it, and used it repeatedly. Your school probably has it in there too, so if you see it in the dress code, now you know the court case where it originated from. But now that we know
And to be honest with you, I'm not sure if you recognize this. If you keep talking about freedom, absolute freedom is absolute freedoms inherently bring about absolute chaos. You need to have some stable foundations, stabilities to progress on, you know. And look, I'm not trying to say that it's bad, but too much of it is bad. Let's be honest. Too much of anything is bad. Can we all agree? Can we all agree on that? Too much of anything is bad. Let's have some control over it, shall we?
the history, it's time to look at the efficacy of all this. As I mentioned before, dress codes are meant to help students succeed and stay safe, all while still allowing them enough personal freedoms to express themselves through their clothing. So,
I disagree with that. There's only 3 points. There's like a lot more than 3, more than 5, more than 10, more than 20.
do dress codes do those things? Let's just start with one that should be easy to measure. School performance. In justifications for dress codes, schools focus on the idea that they improve school performance. This is one that comes up again and again and again. But how is it meant to do that? Well, sometimes it makes sense, like with the ban on JoJo Siwa hair bows. They're not allowed because they're frickin' huge. Apparently they were so large that kids couldn't see the whiteboards around them. So yeah, that's gonna be a wee bit disruptive. But then, why are spaghetti straps disruptive? Muscle tees. There's a lot less material in those garments, not more, so my view of the board is gonna stay relatively unobstructed. Why then are these two of the most commonly flagged items on dress codes? Well,
It's disruptive because it's tempting. Temptation is awesome. Look, temptation is awesome, but it distracts the students from actually focusing on the studies. You want them to learn on the whiteboard, look at the screen, listen to what the teacher is talking about, pay attention to what the conversation is in class, not on, the skimpy clothing. Especially when they are kids, when they are teenagers, they are very attracted, they are very charmed, they are very easily charmed, very easily attracted by the opposite gender.
because as the reasoning goes, they're distracting. Clearly, our feeble teenage meat brains can't focus on the Pythagorean theorem when there's a bare shoulder sitting 2 rows in front of us. Not only is that incredibly offensive to assume, it's also completely unsubstantiated by the data. The most
But MatPat, seriously? I'm being honest with you. Seriously? You have a son. Do you really think that it's appropriate for your 5-year-old son to be in a classroom where their classmates is wearing their skimpy clothing? I'm asking you now as a father. You're a father, MatPat. You're a father when you make this video. Your son was 4 years old. Do you seriously think that is appropriate? Seriously?
Comprehensive study that I could find was this one from Educational Partnership Inc., dating all the way back to the Clinton administration decades ago. The source here isn't necessarily unbiased, and the research is very limited, but even here the results are heavily mixed. Some studies indicated a small margin of better grades for schools with dress codes, but most, yeah, they showed no difference at all. And that's not all that surprising.
You don't judge a student just by its grades. You don't. It's a very easy way to neglect everything else about the student's development.
I mean, back in the 70s when dress codes first started rearing their heads, seeing a shoulder peeking out from a tank top might have been scandalous. But it's 2023 now. Browse through Twitter's trending tab for 5 minutes, and I guarantee you've accidentally subjected yourself to multiple full-body anatomy lessons. Oh,
And it's very tempting, and it's very easy to be tempted by lust, especially when you are a small kid, when you are a young teenager, you're a youngster. You just gone through your puberty, you are going through your puberty, and you don't know what you don't know, and everything is new to you.
overall, dress codes seem more like wishful thinking than a path to academic achievement. We don't need
I disagree. The way that you phrase it, MatPat, is wrong. It's wrong, MatPat. You're wrong.
to say it's a flat-out lie or anything, it's just that there's no evidence that exists to support it. That said, what about the other criteria here? Safety. We usually associate dress codes with annoying stuff. Your top is too cropped, your pants are too baggy. It's obnoxious to be sure, but generally it's not that hard to wrap your brain around. But what exactly makes clothing safe? Is the waistband of my boxers suddenly gonna sucker punch Brian from third period PE? Obviously not. No, similar to the distracting clothing, some of the bans here make sense, like on jewelry that could be used as a weapon. Spiked necklaces, oversized rings. Sorry, my baby emos, all those hot topic accessories are gonna have to stay at home. But if you take the idea of safety and start following it out further, it starts getting into the less clear territory where the rules shift away from the item itself to instead what's on the item. Here's a typical quote from a dress code. Any clothing that contains inappropriate language, symbols, or messages which are offensive and disrupt the learning environment. Most schools
Look, I'm gonna give you this is something I found from a website. Alright, 24 advantages of wearing school uniforms. First of all, it uplifts the school spirit. They have a more common bond, you know. Like, we are all wearing the same uniform, we are all the same. Second of all, reduce bullying. Because, yeah, it helps when everybody is wearing the same set of clothing, reduce the opportunity for kids to make fun of each other, you know. Number 3, less peer pressure. Especially when they are wearing expensive clothes and wearing just normal clothes. It's like, should I get more expensive clothes? Should I get more this jewelry clothes? You know. Number 4, cost saving. School uniforms are significantly cheaper than branded clothing. In general, that is just the truth. No matter if you're rich or you're poor, you are high class elites, or you are just middle class, all of you wear the same uniform provided by the school. It sets a very standardized cost. Too much, well, there's government subsidies. Too little, well, I don't know. You just have to deal with it. Number 5, social economic solutions. Kids can often tell one another's social economic status based on the clothing they're wearing. This then becomes a basis for bullying and discrimination. Back to bullying. But if everyone wears the same uniform, it's harder to figure this out. I'm just a student. I'm not a rich student. I'm not a poor student. If you don't know me and you only see me once or twice per month, it's like, okay, you are a student. I don't know you. I'm not going to cause trouble with you. No, I don't want any trouble. But if I wear those emo stuff, or I wear those kind of bling bling expensive stuff, you can immediately tell, right, cool, rich kid, emo kid, jerkies, jocks. Yeah. Number 6, student identifications. Uniforms help school administrators identify who is a student and who is not. This makes it easier to ensure that students do not sneak into unauthorized areas. Students, especially like 13 years old, 14 years old, they can become taller than teachers. They can look very mature. If they wear a suit and tie, people may mistake them for being a teacher, and they can enter into places that they shouldn't enter. For example, the examination room, go into it, take the exam paper, test paper, take it out. You know, just reduce everything. Number 7, intruder identification. Besides identifying students, school can identify intruders as those who aren't wearing uniforms. This can make it easier to remove intruders and keep students safe. Someone that is like 25 years old, they look very young, that looks like a high schooler or even a middle schooler. Someone that looks like a primary school student or secondary school student, but in fact is actually 25 years old, 30 years old. They can just easily go into a school and cause trouble. You know, one recent case I remember earlier this year in Shanghai is 25 years old teacher, chemistry teacher, having intimate relationship with a 16 years old. Within 60 days, at least 60 days, they have for more than 44 times. 60 days. That reminds me of that. Next is dress code fairness, number 8. Number 8, dress code fairness. All school have dress codes, but many of those dress codes are criticized for being unfair. For example, putting some scrutiny on girls than guys. But if everyone wears the same uniform, regardless of gender or background, regardless of race, language, or religion, this is not likely to be an issue. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. This is not likely to be an issue. Look, it will inevitably be an issue, but it will be like small pockets of issue in which you can handle before it blows up, because there's a standardize. Okay, like what's right? Everybody is wearing the same uniform. Peer pressure. You tend not to like be the odd one out. Look, you can stand out from the crowd, but it's a school rules. There's a saying in Chinese, 国有国法，家有家规. Country have their country's law, home have their home rules. Number 9, improve disciplines. School uniforms help establish a sense of discipline among students, make them less likely to act out or break other rules. Your school requires you to wear PE t-shirts and PE pants, not PE t-shirt and long pants. Don't break this rule. Your school requires you to wear a necktie or long sleeve, you wear those. Standardize it. Don't immediately like, oh my gosh, I forgot to bring this. Never mind, I can just wear anything. This helped develop a sense of discipline that I need to prepare beforehand. I need to prepare this clothing beforehand so that I do not make these mistakes. Look, everybody have done this mistake before. I made this mistake once or twice, and it helps me remember that I shouldn't make those mistakes ever again. In my years and years of school education, I confirm make one or twice this kind of mistake. I forgot to bring my necktie. Unfortunate. I forgot to bring my PE t-shirt. So unfortunate. I see my classmates are playing in the PE physical education and playing basketball or playing football or playing they're happy, they're having fun, they're laughing, they're having joy, entertaining, and I have to sit down because I forgot to bring my t-shirt. It sends a message to me that next time there's a PE lesson, I need to bring so that I do not miss out on this fun, this cheerfulness that everybody is enjoying. Number 9 is improved disciplines. Number 10, improved focus. By removing fashion items that can be distracting, uniforms help students focus on their schoolwork. Exactly. MatPat just now said something that I absolutely disagree with you. MatPat, you're wrong. Number 11, routines streamlining. That's right. When students wear uniforms, they have an easier time getting ready for school in the morning. As there's no need to pick an outfit, students can thus get dressed more quickly and with less stress. I have a sister, and when she was in primary school, when she was in secondary school, especially during secondary school, when she was going through puberty, I see her getting ready for non-school related stuff. She can get 1 hour just to get ready, but for school stuff, she can get ready within 5 minutes. Just to pick a shirt, 1 hour, and just to pick a shirt, 5 minutes. Which one is more time saving? Which one is more time consuming? Which one is more time saving? You should know the answer. If all the girls, if all the guys is wearing similar girl uniform, boys uniform, girls uniform, there's no need to choose. Should I make this red cup? This shirt doesn't match my skin. Don't think about it. Focus on your education. Focus on your friends. Focus on your schoolwork. Focus on your club activities in school. Focus on your projects. Not this fashion sense. No, there's no need for it. Especially when you are just a kid in school. You do not have to impress anybody else in school. Understand? Number 12. Uniforms can be handed down. Exactly. I come from a background in which lower middle class. My school uniforms, my shirts, my pants are from my cousins. When we were younger, before puberty. So everything that we have is from our elder siblings, elder cousins, so on and so forth. Yeah, it's significantly easier to have like 3 shirts, 3 pants, and just pass it on elder brother to younger brother to the same uniform. Instead of buying this uniform and using it for a few years and having to change it because kids grow fast. And it's kind of a waste, especially when you come from a low income family or when you come from a middle income family or low income family where you really have to think about budgets more. MadPats, I know you are multi-millionaire. MadPats, I know that you are multi-millionaire. I know that. $20 million, that's a lot of money. But think from the point of view of the majority of individuals all around the world. They aren't like you, they aren't millionaire. You are a multi-millionaire, sir. Next, sorry, that was a personal attack. I'm sorry for the character assassination. I'm sorry. Next is dress for success. Students need to learn the importance of dressing appropriately for each situation they encounter in life. Assigning uniforms help teach them this. Exactly. You can't just wear a hippie uniform and go for a meeting. You can't wear like a singlet. You can't wear a singlet to you can't wear a physical singlets, sports activity singlets to a lecture hall. You don't do that. Because first of all, it's going to get cold. You are going to suffer. Reason why I know that is because I did those once or twice and I just screw it. I'm going to bring a jacket. Screw it. I'm going to bring a blazer. Screw it. I'm going to learn everybody else. Everybody have a jacket. I'm wearing a jacket. Everybody is wearing long sleeve. I'm wearing long sleeve. Because that's why it helps. Increase attendance. Now, number 14, increase attendance. Students can't afford the latest fashions, often flex sickness rather than show up to school in clothes they don't like. Uniforms take away the incentive to do that. Exactly. Take away the incentive for that. Increase attendance. Look, you're looking from a point of view of students with you are looking at data, you're looking at numbers. And numbers tells you a lot, but numbers don't tell you everything. MadPat, you should know that. MadPat, numbers don't tell you everything. Student development, these are things that are difficult, or if not, cannot be quantified with plain simple numbers. These are things that is like more towards heart-to-heart talk, heartfelt talk, one-to-one talk with counselor, with students. You get the point, right? Number 15, gang prevention. Gang members can often identify one another based on their clothing. Uniforms thus make it harder for gangs to organize. That's actually quite true. Number 16, cliques control. Though less serious than gangs, cliques can also create an unhealthy environment for students, and because they use clothing to organize as well, uniforms help keep them at bay. For example, if I was to be interested to be friends with the chess people in the family, in the class, if I was to wear, let's say I'm part of the emo kids and I want to change, I want to be part of the chess group, but me approaching them, they'll distance themselves from me because I'm wearing the emo shirts, emo outfit. And let's say if I'm not with the chess, let's say I'm part of the drama club, right? My outfit will be more towards the drama club. I want to approach the chess the chess club because I like chess. Okay, I want to change, I want to better, I want to improve myself. But it's very difficult for me to do that because my outfits, by default, I have tons of my previous drama club friends' outfits. I want to be part of these two groups. But because of the fact that my clothes determines where I am, which group I belong to, it's very hard for me to branch out. It's very hard for me to learn about different things like chess. I like chess. That's click control number 17. Creative expression. When students can't vary their clothes, they have to find other ways to express themselves. This helps them think more creatively. MatPat! That is exactly the point, sir! If they can't think about how, if they can't vary their clothes, they can learn to be creative. Test their creativity on other aspects. Precisely! The easy way out is to dress differently. I know, dress differently is creative. But if you are limited in that, what else can you think about it? We are all limited by something. I can't fly to the moon. I can't fly to the moon. We can't fly to the moon. We don't have wings. That's why we get creative. We build rockets. We build planes. You understand? I can't look small and small and small. There's a limit to how small I can look. That's why I create microscope. Understand? That we create magnifying glass, microscope, to help us see. It tests our imagination instead of the easy way out and going for the creative route. Instead of the going for the easy way out of wearing just outfits, creativity. You understand, right? Okay. I know this is style theory, but you have to acknowledge this, and you are actively dismissing this. I'm pretty sure this website came into your research, especially when this is a follow-up theory. But come on, let's continue. Number 18, environmental initiative. Uniforms reduce the amount of clothing students must buy. Schools can incorporate this into lessons about conserving resources and protecting the environment. Exactly. When you are limited in the number of clothing, when you are limited, I don't care if you want the freedom or not. Freedom in of itself breeds chaos. Freedom is good, but it needs to be limited. If not freedom, we will all be flying out to space. There's something that is holding close to us, the control called gravity. Similar on this. Moreover, it's helping the mother nature, it's helping environment, especially when we have global warming, sir. It helped students recognize the importance of not spending unnecessary money on clothes, especially when they are so impressionable. They are just students, they are just kids, they are just teenagers. They don't know what they don't know. As adults, it's very important for us to enforce these key lessons to them, and so they can protect, in this case, protect the mother nature, protect environments more. Number 19, reputations reinforcement. By establishing the same uniforms for everyone, schools can remove offensive messages, disturbing images, and other clothing content they may harm their reputations. Exactly. You can't expect like Oxford, Yale to have FUCK, SUCK, BITCH, so on and so forth. You can't expect that, right? People from all over the world, in all nations, send their students to parents send their kids to those places, you know. And if those places have, it sends a very bad message, you know, especially when they are just kids and teenagers. Universities, well, it's a different story, because universities, you are already a young adult. You are already an adult. In most countries, when you are in university, you are legal age. But I'm talking about primary school, secondary school. In your case, it's junior high, or even middle school, and high school, something like that. You get the point, don't you? In Singapore, it's more towards primary school and secondary school. Primary school, secondary school, and polytechnic. These three. or primary school, secondary school, JC, which is junior college. Anyways, continue. Number 20. Safety improvements. With the right uniforms, school can reduce the likelihood that students will trip, strain themselves, or be unprepared for the weather. This improves everyone's health and safety, especially when it rains, or especially when the outfit is like all the skirts or all the like long stuff. Their shoes is improper. They can trip themselves, injure themselves, injure ankles. It's all in all bad character development. Pets, you fail to recognize that in your YouTube video. Yes, I recognize that you want to have a balanced argument. 3. But look, there's significantly more benefits to wearing school uniforms, especially when you are in primary school or secondary school. In your case, it's like junior, middle school, high school. You get the points, don't you? 21. Improved teacher expectations. Teachers have been found to subconsciously set different expectations for students depending on how well they are dressed. But if everyone wears the same uniforms, teachers will have similar expectations for everyone and will thus teach in a more, I can't pronounce the words, more equal way, just way. There's a saying in Chinese, 一视同仁. Treat everybody equally. This needs to be enforced because they are teachers. They are the role models that people actually see, that people actually learn from. You can't have the teacher have some biasness, like I mentioned before, like having sexual intimate relationship with one particular student. That is just wrong. You need to be a role model. You need to be someone that people look up to. So when I grow up, I want to be like just like this teacher. It's a good role model. He or she is doing everything that I want to be. You get the point? And when teachers look down, the teacher can say that I'm going to treat every one of you equally. I'm going to teach you guys, all of you, equally. I'm going to teach you guys properly. Sometimes there's a subconscious to it in which, okay, they are wearing the emo kids, they're wearing the emo shirts. Let's not trigger them too much. Okay. Oh, they're bullies. Their outfits are the bullies. Okay, let's not do that too much to them. If not, the teacher will get bullied themselves. They will try not to get in trouble. Whereas if everyone wear the same uniform, from point of view of a teacher, I've been a teacher. There's a standardization in which everybody is equal. You don't stand out from a crowd, and you don't fall behind from a crowd. Everybody help each other out. 21. Soaring students' expectations. Besides affecting teachers' expectations, uniforms help students have higher opinions of themselves, giving them the confidence to perform better. If the person that is the best in class is wearing a different clothing than mine, I might think, especially when they are children, when they're children, their kids, they are teenagers, they are highly impressionable. What if I also wear pink color to school? I can also have the same grades as them. They have full mark in their grades. Maybe if I do that, I can also have full marks. This sort of impressionable. Whereas if everybody wears the same uniform, this sort of excessive mindset, this sort of unnecessary mindset is just gone. This sort of unnecessary thinking is like, okay, cool. He's wearing jacket, I'm not wearing jacket. He got higher grades than me, that's why I should wear jacket in class. That's not the point. The point is you are not paying attention in class. If everybody have the same score, same marks in class, you get the point, don't you? You get the point. Next, 24. They miss out 23. Either ways, school styles. Uniforms let schools give themselves a distinct style that everyone in the community can recognize and appreciate. Exactly, community, not just the student herself, but the student's parents, the student's uncles, the student's sweepers. They can recognize this. They can recognize that this part of students, my son belongs to this school, my daughter belongs to this school. They can have a more kampong feeling, have a more community vibe to it, enforce a stronger community relationship. So hopefully it helps. There's only 23 points. Yeah, moving on. I'm sorry, this is the 35 minutes already. Let's continue watching the video, shall we?
Then go on to add examples. Images or text that are offensive and target specific groups, explicit material, or stuff that promotes drug or alcohol use. In recent years, though, those gray areas have gotten increasingly gray as a number of fringe cases have started to crop up. For instance, in the case New Jersey versus Sonnabend, 2 students from 2 separate school districts sued after being instructed to cover up their t-shirts that displayed images of firearms. Here's what the shirts looked like. Are they safe? Are they not safe? What's more, that orange one is specifically promoting a pro-gun rights organization. By asking the student to cover it up, the school was censoring that message. So what's the more important consideration here? Protection of free speech, or the possibility that seeing the message might disrupt the education of other students, especially
when kids, I'm talking about students that is like in primary school and secondary school, they are highly impressionable. They are still going through their childhood. They are still going through their puberty. They don't know what they don't know. If everybody says that firearms is good, they'll say, firearms is good. If everybody say firearms is bad, I'll say firearms is bad. If everybody say firearms is good, but it's bad, but the kids will be like, firearms is good, but firearms is bad, but. You get the point, don't you? They are surrounded by, you are who you surround yourself with.
when violence in schools is currently a top concern on everyone's mind. Ultimately, New Jersey determined that moving forward, wearing a picture of a weapon has to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. It's not really the cleanest, easiest to follow solution. It starts going even deeper when you start thinking about issues like gang violence, where it's well known that gang associations can be expressed through clothing. An article from The Atlantic a few years ago reads, quote, "Because one of the Atlanta area gangs had adopted Mickey Mouse as one of the symbols, we were not allowed to wear anything with Mickey Mouse on it. We weren't allowed to wear any Dickies brand clothing or backpacks. They were considered a gang symbol. I mean, by that logic, now any brand or character can be considered dangerous to a school district. And of course, this means that now dress codes are having to chase a moving target. Gangs can change their style, but also the fashion trends themselves evolve and change. For a while, having a long hanging belt was considered to be a gang sign, especially when it was partnered with a particular buckle. But pretty soon, that just became the de facto belt for a lot of people. It was fashionable. It was the trend. Same thing with the whole bagging and sagging
Having said
look that was
I'm going to say something that is very important. Safety. How do you run under that situation? How do you exercise, jog, jumping jacks in that situation? You can't. You honestly can't. These are kids that we're talking about. These are teenagers that we're talking about. They have a lot of hyper spirits. They want to run about, jump about. They want to do their physical activities. They want to test their limits. How high can I jump? How far can I run? How much push-up can I do? Can I do this pull-up? And they want to do this, but they are very limited if you allow them to limit themselves. Okay? If there's no limitations, if there's no physical limitation to it, and when the physical activity, when the physical educations actually take place, they can actually test out the limits without the barriers that they unconsciously put onto themselves. The baggy pants, the extra long belt, they are going to be barriers for you to perform. They're going to hinder your performance.
Surging throughout the early 90s. It started as the go-to fashion for many urban communities, some with gangs, many without. But as the style got more visibility through music videos and movies, it just became a fashion trend. And then the greater problem with all of this is that you can quickly slide from items that are actual symbols of violence to just symbols that represent groups of people. And it's here where school dress codes start to get real dicey. Over the years, there have been a whole slew of debates about specific items in school dress codes that start to blur the lines between keeping kids safe and targeting specific groups based on race, ethnicity, or gender identity. Under the US's Title IX, which is a set of gender equality rules for US schools that was developed back in the 70s, school dress codes are expressly forbidden from unfairly targeting women. However, if you take a look at this chart from Education Week in 2022, you see that when you average out all the most common rules across dress codes, 90% are worded in a way that specifically targets girls. Only 69% are associated with boys' clothing. They also found that statistically, girls are 5.5 times more likely to get in trouble for their clothing than boys. You might assume that this is just the result of girls' clothing being more risque or prone to breaking the rules, but that also isn't necessarily true. It happens even when a boy is wearing the same clothing or breaking the same rules. A student from Illinois named Drew Jarding went...
And all these troubles, all these problems can be easily fixed if there's a standardized school dress code, school uniform, it could be easily dismissed, or it can be easily reduced. Instead of having so many cases, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands per year, it may be just like 1 or 2 per year. You get the points, don't you?
Viral for his TikToks where he wore the same types of outfits as his female peers, all to illustrate how his clothes were considered okay by school standards while theirs were not. This is just one of many instances where girls are sent home, suspended, or even potentially losing scholarships over showing their shoulders.
The senior with a 4.4 GPA suspended for 10 days, told she can't walk at graduation.
A full ride means so much, and that is on the line right now.
Across both male and female students, it gets worse when you consider race. A lot worse. For instance, in the
And this sort of things can be easily mitigated or easily reduced with the help of the system. Change the system. Change the system for the benefit of all. You can argue your way out that a change system is not required, but we've seen the benefits in other places, other countries, other nations, they have a different systems, and their systems work much more than yours. You get the point, don't you? We are all humans. We make mistakes. The systems that we make are prone to errors. There's a time and place for us to acknowledge that, hey, those ancestors that make those, our forefathers that makes those policy and laws are actually quite wrong. Let's change them for the better.
1990s, baggy jeans, oversized shirts, and other loose-fitting garments were commonly worn in hip-hop culture, which made a significant impact in trendy fashion from mainstream black communities. As such, black students were called out more often with dress codes related to baggy clothing and oversized t-shirts because they were deemed as looking quote-unquote unprofessional. And these same biases apply to commonplace items like hair wraps and headscarves for women or do-rags and hats for men. Hairstyle rules also make it harder for black students to comply. Frequently, dress codes will dictate that a man's hair can't go past their eyebrows. This in turn actively targets longer hairstyles like braids and dreadlocks, which have historically been associated with black communities. And statistically, these small rules add up to make a significant difference. Black female students in some major school districts like Washington, D.C. are reportedly 21 times as likely to get suspended from school than their white female counterparts. And these are just a few examples. From our own Team Theorist ranks, Food Theory creative director Santi has had experiences of dress codes that are biased based on his own normal features.
Back in high school, I had to sit down with the principal, vice principal, and a board member of the school because I'd received 5 months of detention for violating the dress code. I'd gotten a bunch of write-ups because the stubble I'd get by the end of the school day was deemed inappropriate since we had to be clean shaven. Not something I could really help outside of taking a razor to school for a midday shave, so I fought back and not only avoided detention, but was allowed to keep my facial hair since I was graduating at the end of the year.
He ended up winning the argument, but students shouldn't have to fight like that. Worse, these sorts of policies can result in students getting suspended, leading to statistics that are a lot scarier than just a few detentions. Up to this point, we've been talking about clothes and the annoying little infractions that they can get you in school. But the real stinger of school dress codes is that they don't just stop at school. A buildup of small infractions in many schools can lead to students being removed from classrooms, which then leads to the question, what happens when students get suspended? Well, the data shows that when a student misses classes, surprise, surprise, they have worse academic outcomes. Making matters worse, 81% of major public universities take a student's disciplinary record into account in admissions decisions. Students who are suspended also are statistically more likely to get into trouble, arrested, even drop out of school entirely. In school districts with strictly enforced dress codes, students are 32% more likely to get out of school suspensions. In short, stricter dress codes mathematically lead to more missed classes. On top of
No. Pat, I don't know how you got this conclusion, but no, absolutely not. I don't know how you got this conclusion. Maybe the facial hair, the one I can understand. Maybe the hair, the one I can understand. But the rest, no. Especially the school uniform, the one. Especially the school uniform, the school dress code, the one. Maybe the facial hair, the one I can understand. The headdress, the one I can understand. But the rest, no. Sir, no. Look, okay, I support stricter school dress codes because I recognize the importance, the benefits of it, the advantages of it outweigh the negative of it. The advantages of it, the advantages of having strict school dress codes is much more than the disadvantages of a strict dress codes. The benefits of having a strict school dress codes is much more than the non-benefits of it. You get the point, don't you?
That strictly enforced dress codes are more common in communities with Black and Hispanic majorities. 80% of Black majority schools are reported to have strictly enforced dress codes, versus 62% of predominantly Hispanic schools and only 35% of white majority schools. Clothes matter. The people dress codes target matter. And at the moment, there's evidence that dress codes disproportionately hurt the success of very specific student groups. As a student told
No, Matt Pat, no. I don't know where you are getting these statistics from, but I got this feeling, I got this hunch, alright? I just got this hunch that the numbers is true, but numbers can be manipulated. And you may... I'm not saying that you are doing this, I'm saying you may have been misled by others with different interests.
HHStoday.com,
And they say it's for like education, like to protect everyone else's education.
And that's non-biased.
Yeah, how is my education being protected whenever I am getting taken out of class?
quite simply, when you look at the numbers,
There's a saying in Chinese, 牺牲小我，完成大我. Sacrifice a small part of me for the benefit of everyone. Sacrifice the need for clothing freedom for the benefit of everyone.
the scale isn't balanced. What then is our solution? Well, drumroll please! School uniforms. Everyone dresses the same. Oh, shoot. I already did a takedown of those a couple months ago. Nudists? No, that'd probably be materially...
What? Nudist? Sir? What? What? Nudist?
distracting. It's
Oh
almost
my
like there
gosh.
needs to be a middle ground between the two extremes. Something a little less restrictive than a uniform mandating just 5 possible items bought from a store with a monopoly over said items of clothing, but something
Yeah, but why do you include nudists, sir? I know it's a joke, but why?
that isn't as broad as anything goes, or as confusing as, well, you can only show off your midriff on the 3rd Wednesday of any month in which there's a harvest moon, and only if the administration is signed off in totality. Playing whack-a-mole with clothing, it's just too hard for administrations, and it's also too frustrating for students. Honestly, the best that I can come up with in my few hours of thinking about it is what I'd call the YouTuber policy. What I mean by that is that whenever I'm in a shoot with someone else, I always get this mandate of not wearing anything with logos or brands on it, because if it appears on camera, it could get the production in trouble. So that then gives me a very clear set of rules to follow. It allows me to wear any colors or patterns that I want, or any individual piece of clothing that I want to use to express my style and personality, but also I'm not having to worry about any potential gray areas. Would that be the perfect solution for schools? I don't think so, but it might be a step to clarifying what's currently set up to be a very complicated issue. And here's the thing, there is a small silver lining here as bit by bit more people are catching on to the problem. There are so many small infractions around things like dress codes in US schools that in 2021, the Common App for colleges removed their questions asking about a student's disciplinary records, because there were just so many, and also much worse, there was a disproportionately high rate of disciplinary actions for minority students. In the end, what seems like silly or arbitrary rules ultimately do matter, and they do affect people's actual lives long term. If you're in school right now, just be aware that the kids around you might find it harder to avoid detentions than you, and look for little ways to support them if you can. Or know that even though you might be the one facing down the daunting dress code, keep your eye on the prize. Just get out and get to college. They don't care what the heck you're wearing over there anyway. Or heck, even better, online classes are more convenient and cheaper these days. And hey, when you're sitting at a computer, the only dress code is that you're not wearing pants. But
Come on, bro! Come on! We all know the benefits of school is not just it's not just academic education. It's also about social interactions, social educations, so that you know how to interact with people that is around your age, that is older than you, that is younger than you. You learn how to interact with them properly. You learn to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. If you're on online classes, how do you interact with other human beings that have different mindsets, different race, background, religion than you? How? And also wear pants, please. Wear pants. Please, wear pants. Thank you.
hey, that's just a theory. A style theory. Keep looking sharp.
But hey, that's just a theory. A style theory. Keep looking sharp. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you find this video quite informative, quite educational, and tell me what you think about it. I have to apologize to you for how long this video is, but I really have a I'm just very angry at MatPat for being so biased, especially in his previous video where he blatantly biased for non-uniform. You get the point, don't you? You get the point. But hey, that's just a theory. A style theory. Keep looking sharp. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Thank you so much. Subscribe. Thank you.